Justin and Nick get political, the sequel. No, really guys, this is part 2 of our interview with DNC Chairman Tom Perez. You're going to hear from more of our friends that you did not hear from before.
You'll get more backstories, you'll get more really great questions about how different communities and different groups can become politically involved.
More clips from the vlog from the march that we were at, and
more Maria.
More Maria. Stay tuned to the end to see this beefcake. All right, now you're gonna hear from the beautiful April. April! She's not here.
She's with a man.
She's on a date right now.
Yes, get it, girl.
April's our roommate, if you did not know. She lives with us. She has for about 2 years. And currently, she is studying to go to dental school.
Yes. Honestly, you've seen our videos with her. There's not a bad thing we can say about this wonderful, wonderful woman who is now like our sister. She's so great, so wonderful.
To take a step into the sweet chocolate of April.
She's gonna die when she does this. All right, guys, enjoy part 2.
You mentioned earlier about the special elections in Alabama, and I'm glad that you recognize the power that the Black female voice has, and how do we harness that in U.S. politics in the midterms?
By making sure that we never, ever take African American voters for granted. When I came into this job, we did a lot of soul searching. We looked and we were losing elections. We lost over 1,000 seats in state legislatures, lost a lot of governor's races, senate races, and we had to take a hard look at what we did wrong. And one of the things we did wrong is we took too many voters for granted, including but not limited to our African American brothers and sisters who are really the backbone of the Democratic Party. And you look at our investments now, I'm proud to have invested in Alabama, and we invested early. And almost 100% of our $1 million roughly that we spent in Alabama went into African American outreach. And African American women carried that election, 98% of whom voted for Doug Jones. If I had told you last November that Doug Jones is going to win next month and he's going to outperform Barack Obama among African American voters, you would have smiled dutifully and wondered what was in my drinking water. And that's exactly what happened, because African American communities mobilized, and it wasn't simply the DNC, it was a whole group of folks. It started with Doug Jones, a great candidate, and then so many faith leaders, so many labor leaders, so many partners in the progressive movement who came out and organized, and it was so exciting. It was thrilling to watch Keisha Lance Bottoms get elected in Atlanta, a wonderful African American woman. Same thing with Vi Lyles in Charlotte. And the lesson that we have learned is that we invest everywhere. The old DNC was just about electing a president every 4 years. The new Democratic Party is about electing Democrats up and down the ticket, from the school board to the Oval Office. It's about organizing everywhere, mobilizing everywhere, never taking anyone for granted, building relationships, authentic relationships, not just transactional relationships. Every 4th October showing up at a church telling people to vote. That's transactional. The new DNC is out there. We're fighting for gun safety. We're fighting for good jobs that pay a decent wage. We're fighting for health care for all. We're fighting for the issues that people care about. And that is why I think we're winning elections, is we're organizing, we're mobilizing, and as a result, we're winning.
I appreciate that. That's good. I really do.
All right, guys, so the next person that you're actually going to hear from is our wonderful friend, Tessa. So I actually met Tessa because I was working in a molecular toxicology lab, and Tessa was my boss. So Tessa is the daughter of Mexican-American immigrants, and girl, she is from Chicago. Tessa is from Chicago. But yeah, so she is just wonderfully intelligent. She's a PhD student at the University of Pittsburgh's Graduate School of Public Health, which is a mouthful, but she's incredibly intelligent. She's incredibly kind. She's beautiful, and honestly, just so glad that she was able to come down from Pittsburgh for this, to be involved. And love you, Tessa. Love you, girl.
So what advice would you give Hispanic Americans who want to become more involved in their local governments? And also what can our community do to better affect change in the upcoming elections?
Run for office. Texas, we're poised to elect the first 2 Latinas to Congress this November in the history of the state of Texas. That's really exciting. They're counting on our communities not voting. That's exactly what's going on. They're counting on that. And we're winning elections elsewhere. We won in Virginia because we had a surge in Latino voting, a surge in African American voting, a surge in API community voting, a surge in voting in Roanoke, in rural white pockets. Everybody was coming out because they understood that nuestro voto es nuestro voz. You know, our vote is our voice. And we have to make sure that we're registering people to vote. We have to make sure that our Puerto Rican brothers and sisters who had to flee the island because of the hurricane and the unconscionable reaction of this president, who clearly said through his actions, or more specifically his inactions, that Puerto Ricans are second-class citizens. 300,000 Puerto Ricans, roughly, in Florida. We got to get them to vote because they understand who's fighting for them.
So I feel like being a woman compounded with being the daughter of immigrants oftentimes leaves me feeling disheartened and disrespected in this political climate. So I was wondering, how would you recommend that I engage myself and others like myself politically when it almost feels like the system doesn't want us to?
Well, I understand the frustration. You look at what's happened to Dreamers. You look at what's happening, I mean, you look at the misogyny that seems to be absolute disrespect. But you know what? My parents always taught me we got to keep fighting. And I'm the son of immigrants from the Dominican Republic. They got kicked out. Ay dominicano en la casa. See, the 2 sports in the Dominican Republic are baseball and politics. And the politics side is what always made my family understand and teach us that we have to fight. And the folks who want to tear us down, their hope is that people will get discouraged and they won't participate. And we saw the participation go way down in 2014. And I got to tell you, folks like all of you here today, I find you're inspirational. You are really what America is about. You're telling us that we can all succeed no matter where we were born, no matter what our native language is, no matter what our religion is, no matter what our gender identity is, no matter any station in life. We can do anything. And that's what I see in my travels across America. It's inspiring, and you are one of those leaders. And we're about to mark the 50th anniversary of Dr. King's assassination. 50 years ago today, there was a strike going on down in Memphis of sanitation workers, and they were beaten down. They were told that they didn't matter, and they got up and said, "We are a man." In that case, it was men there. I'll take some liberties with Dr. King and say we are women as well. But it was the fight for dignity, and they never gave up. John Lewis never gave up, even though he was beaten and bloodied. And that is what the spirit of America is. And you all are never giving up. And that is why, while we have this remarkable moment in time where Rome is burning, I come to you with optimism because I've seen our democracy awaken in ways that I've never seen before. And one of the greatest manifestations of this is the number of women who are seeking office, getting out there and leading. The founding fathers get a lot of credit, and understandably so, but right now it's the marching mothers, it's the marching daughters, it's the marching nieces and the marching nephews, along with our young people from Parkland and elsewhere who have stepped up. You are the leaders of today, and I hope you'll continue to lead and continue to fight, because you give me a heck of a lot of hope that we have many better days ahead of us.
Thank you.
So in Australia, there hasn't been a single mass shooting since they banned firearms in 1996. I'm curious what you think. What do you envision for the future of gun control in America?
Well, I believe that that Second Amendment freedoms and common sense gun violence reduction measures can coexist. And I again, I mentioned the conversation I had with the CEO of Dick's Sporting Goods, and he was expecting a backlash from their decision to ban, to no longer sell certain types of firearms. And what ended up happening was just the opposite. They had people literally going into Dick's stores, dropping off 24 donuts for their employees to say thank you. They got letters from NRA members saying, you know what, I support what you're doing. The CEO is a sportsman, he's a hunter. But he understands that he doesn't use an AR-15 to go hunting. And so I really believe that when we see this type of corporate courage by Dick's and others, when we see the continuing leadership of young people, I think we can make real progress. It feels different to me right now. You look at what happened in Florida. You had people in that legislature who, until then, had like an A+ rating from the NRA, and it was the young people, the pressure that they put on them, that resulted in some movement, some meaningful movement. But I do have a lot of confidence that we can change the current composition of the U.S. Congress and elect more Democrats and get more stuff done. But I know that we can't do it without you. So keep marching, keep organizing, keep mobilizing, and that's how we win.
All right, guys. So that was part 2. We're so glad you guys stuck around. Again, please like, comment below, subscribe. Especially in those comments, let's continue have some really good conversations around some of these issues. We're loving hearing what you guys have to say, and it's really important to say these things. Like Maria told you last time, make sure you click that bell so that you know when part 3 is coming out, because we will have one last part to this. So stick around, guys. And again, thank you so much for hanging out with us and listening to some of these really great questions.
Can't wait to see you in the next video.
See you guys.